Okay, so for the week 6 assignment, we are supposed to describe a film we want to make or an idea for a film we'd want to make and things that we need to include in it. Okay, I have an idea. It's not well polished at all. It needs tons of work. But I actually have two ideas. I have nothing to do before my exam today, and it's the last day. So I think I'll spit two ideas here. I don't think any of them are good, but I'll share them. The first idea is it's a thriller action movie. I have no idea for a name. Names are like the least important parts of the movie. It's going to be set in the modern day. And the plot behind it is that the president, or maybe like some up and coming politician of high degree, like high status, has been kidnapped. And he wakes up on like a remote island with a dude who's got his face completely covered in wraps. Who's got him like handcuffed or whatever. And he's sitting there on the beach when the president wakes up. And the guy explains to him, he's like, at one point I was a soldier fighting in a war that you started for like no reason or whatever, or that was started for no reason. I don't know if the guy he kidnapped started it or whatever, but that you started for no reason. And I lost a lot, and now I dedicate myself to like capturing or he dedicates himself to killing like people he deems tyrannical or corrupt. He is like a symbol for people that are like upset with the fact that the system is like controlled by lobbyists and corrupt individuals, and he's taken it into his own hand to like assassinate people he deems like corrupt or tyrants within the government. And he's captured this guy because he thinks that he's not too far gone yet. So he kind of wants to like test him. And he's like, you've done some good, but you're also like, you've done a lot of bad. And I'm tired of like people like doing civil disobedience, and he thinks that we should return to like violent retribution, kind of like back in the day with like the Boston Tea Party. People making change against tyrants through violent actions. That's his thought process, but he's also like very strongly convinced in his beliefs, and he doesn't want to kill anyone he doesn't think deserves it. So he brought him to the island to give him a chance because he thinks that he like might have some good in him. And that's kind of like the plot of it. He's gonna like put him through some like insane challenges or whatever, and it's gonna be kind of like a character study of both the politician and of the guy. But the exact specifics of it, I don't really know. I just think the concept's interesting, especially in a time when we have a lot of disdain for politicians and the corrupt people in our government. I think it'd be interesting to like put forth the idea that maybe civil disobedience isn't the correct option. Maybe we need to be more violent. Not saying we do. It would be neat, but I just think that'd be an interesting like take to put out there. And but it's not going to be like 100% like, oh, this is what we should do. It's going to be like duality, because he's a terrorist, like, no doubt. That's the point of the movie. It's like, well, is there value in him because he is fighting for what's right in his mind, or is he just a manic terrorist? And the movie kind of explains that and like delves into that. And in the end of the movie, I'm not sure about like massive specifics in this movie, but in the end of the movie, all I know is that I want like them to have like an encounter or whatever. They've gone through a lot in the movie, and they have like a fight at the end or whatever. And when the president guy has a chance to kill the guy who kidnapped him, he ends up not doing it. He ends up just knocking him out and not ending up killing him. And he kind of like removes like the wraps that are like hiding his face, because from the story he gives, he's expecting it to be like, oh, this is some vet that got like horribly injured in a war that was like frivolous or something, and now he's kind of like feels compelled. But it turns out it's just like a normal guy. And the president's like keeps him on like a rested by like a bonfire that he starts by the beach or whatever, waiting for him to wake up. And when he wakes up, he's like, oh, I thought your face would be worse. And he's like, it's not important about who I am. He's like, well, then how much of it is true? Like, were you a vet? Were you actually wronged by this country? And he's like, no, but there are people who have been. The president's like, oh, I think you're slightly delusional. I think you're just doing this because you feel like you don't have a purpose. And the guy's like, maybe. And they kind of talk it out a bit. And this is like, as for the types of shots I would want to use, the only shot I have specifically in mind is I don't want to show the face of the guy. I think it's part of like the appeal, like it stays hidden. So I want like they're at a bonfire on the beach that the guy started, because this is a remote like deserted island, and it's like behind them, so you can see the illumination of like the sides of their face, but that's about it. And they're sitting next to each other, and they kind of have like a newfound respect for each other as like a bit of catharsis. They're not really like in the mood to fight anymore, and they talk about it a bit. And the end of the movie is supposed to determine whether or not like the president or politician has understood that he's going down the wrong path and has changed, or if he's just going to continue on his ways. And that's kind of like the teeter-totter, like what's it going to be. I'm not saying this is going to be a good movie at all. There's just something in my mind I want to like experiment with. I thought it'd be neat to bring up the idea in today's climate. Colors that would be used in the film and why. I'm like a sucker for like bright hues, but not like in overly flashy ways. Like a nice like shining resonant magenta, but like not like bright. Something like that maybe. And I think that since it's going to take place on a deserted island at night and stuff, I'm not sure exactly how he's testing the guy, but I'd love to have like the deep like orange tint that comes with like fire, like reflecting its light off like trees and leaves and stuff. I'd love to have a lot of that, and like green obviously because it's not an island. But I'm not exactly sure. I want it to look a bit more gritty because this isn't supposed to be like a clean cut movie, if that makes sense. Everything's supposed to give the effect of like this isn't a normal thing. This is like a guerrilla warfare-esque experience. Actors that you would cast and why. I mean, I'm not really sure because, like, honestly, I think that actors make a movie, but just relying on big names doesn't instantly make your movie good. And I'm not like well versed in all the actors. But I think that someone who can do like high energy performances would be good. I'd want someone younger for the guy in the raps, because the whole teeter totter idea is like, oh, does he actually believe in this, or does he just like cripplingly want a sense of individuality in a world where there really isn't a whole lot of chances to get that if you want like a big bravado? So is he just doing this because he's like 20 something with nothing to do in his life, and so he's turning to this? So I'd want a younger actor. As for the actors, I really don't think it matters. If I made this, I wouldn't want it to be a big movie. I'm not a fan of like movies that are interesting are usually the smaller ones, less constrained, so I wouldn't want a whole lot of big actors. I would not really want to cast any big name actors. So I guess that's my answer for that. I feel like that's a bit of a cop-out, but that's my genuine belief. 5 songs that would be on the soundtrack and why. I don't know. I feel like I'd mostly want to stick to instrumentals, because I feel like they're more powerful, like and more iconic. Because like if you think about the original Star Wars movie, no one's like, oh yeah, remember that time that Han flew down the Millennium Falcon, and then Fortunate Son started playing, and he started napalm gassing the stormtroopers? No, they're always like, oh, Duel of the Fates or something like that. So I think I'd want to go for more like, originally made music. But I mean, I guess if I have to give an answer for this, I would want one like kind of like rising tension, but not like, action scene, more like the tension, the scene's rising and it's kind of dramatic, and you're not sure like is the president gonna end up like going back to his ways or not, for like the end scene on the campfire, while like kind of pans in from behind and you see more of like the president's face from behind. I don't know. And then when the guy's like in the jungle doing stuff, I'd like music to represent the feeling that he feels like he's being watched by the kidnapper. But like you can't really tell because in the shadows of the jungle, something that like alludes to that like chance. Maybe. There's really not a whole lot of like opportunities. I think the music just has to be made according to what happens. Like I'm not really sure what to say here. Yeah. And since I feel bad for not giving answers for the actors ones, since I want like a high energy performance out of the guy in the face mask, and it really doesn't matter who you cast, get Will or not Will Smith, Nicolas Cage. Why not? Dude's crazy. Love it. Put him in there. Doesn't really matter because you don't see the face anyways. And for the president, you could put. Trying to think of like famous actors. I don't know. I feel like I'd want an actor who isn't famous for one of the roles that has a face, just because like a lot of the times when you have like a super celebrity as a role, you're kind of like you don't get invested in a movie because you're like, oh, that's not this character, that's Will Smith. So I'd probably go with like a lesser known actor. And same with the songs. I'd have the one at the end with like the rising tension, and the one where it's like suspenseful in the forest when you like can't tell if he's watching or not. I'd probably have like a one that's like for the intro of the movie or whatever, when it's like setting it up. Every movie's gotta have like a unique theme or riff, I guess. So I'd have one there that's more like high energy, but not like high energy action, more like high energy like suspense. And I don't know. I'm not a music major, man. Like it's hard to explain this stuff. So one at the intro of the movie, that's like the intro riff. One when he's in the forest. One when they fight near the end. That can be like a high energy action one, all instrumental, of course. And one at the end with like, oh, Willy won't he? Then maybe like one when he's like running from the guy or whatever in the forest. You can get like a lot of like bongos. Not bongos, it's a bad example. Like, you get like a bunch of people. I went to Japan, they had like these drums. They had like these wooden sticks, like that. Something that's like a bit more out there. There you go, that's your 5 songs. Actors, Will Smith is the only one I have hands down. There's not a lot of people in this movie. It's like 2 or 3 people. Besides scenes where it like cuts back to like the home front and like, why is the president missing? Where the hell is he? But those are just extras. Those don't really matter. So mostly just Will Smith, and I don't want to know an actor to play the president. So yeah. And genre is thriller / action. And that is my idea for the movie. It's not very fleshed out, but I think a lot of the times an idea that has like good room for development is better than like if I gave you a full plot breakdown of like, oh, welcome to my movie. So it's a horror movie, and a guy with a sock on his head stabs a girl, and he goes and he stabs 2 more girls, and he stabs them. It's like, oh, the twist is he had 2 socks on his head. I don't know what I'm talking about. I haven't slept tonight. But that's my movie idea. I got the main parts ironed out. Just still a little in the middle I gotta work on. General ideas ironed out. There you go. Hope you enjoy.